Number 10. It's Wonder Woman and Storm. This is not the last time I'm going to use a character from the Amalgam universe, because this universe is awesome. A universe where the heroes and villains of the two comic book titans, Marvel Comics and DC Comics, finally meet. And as you probably guessed from the title of the video, some of these heroes fuse together. And thank the Lord they do, because we got frickin' Wonder Woman mixed with Aurora Monroe, in her own comic book nonetheless. Princess Aurora of Themyscira, aka Amazon, could manipulate weather and fly while also still being incredibly skilled in hand-to-hand combat and having super strength and speed, and all that good Wonder Woman stuff. She is a beast. Or I mean a storm. Wait, no, I mean an Amazonian. She's all three, minus the hero beast. God, that was a bad joke. Look, could you imagine this in the theater though? I'm getting tingles. Number 9. Green Lantern and Bruce Wayne. Of all the Dark Knights recently introduced in Dark Knight's Metal, aside from their leader, the Dawnbreaker stands among the others as one of the most creative and possibly most terrifying combinations. This blending of Bruce Wayne and Green Lantern, while based on two heroes, is definitely not a good guy. After Bruce Wayne's tragic loss of his parents, the Green Lantern ring comes to him and grants him the powers of a Green Lantern. Now, if you know Batman, you'll know that he has likely one of the strongest wills on the earth. So strong, in fact, that it allows him to overpower the programming of the ring and do things Green Lanterns are not supposed to do, like using his monstrous hard-light constructs to kill criminals. Or, like, taking out the whole Green Lantern Corps in the Guardians of the Universe, I don't know, stuff like that. He is a crazy powerful version of Batman, and I think it would be really cool if someone could put him on the big screen in a sort of like superhero horror movie or something like that. Number 8. The Hulk and Wolverine. These two have been going at it since Wolverine was first introduced into the Marvel landscape. Their rivalry is legendary, and while the two have never been directly fused together, in July of 2017 we got a wholly original character that was basically a fusion. Clayton Cortez, or as he is better known, Weapon H, is a weapons experiment gone wrong. Or if you ask me, gone incredibly right. He has the ability to transform into a massive, super strong Hulk, with all the benefits that entails. But he also has the incredible healing factor, bone claws, and adamantium skeleton of the Wolverine. This is an incredibly deadly combo, and it's hypothesized he could take out every living being on the earth. To be able to see this on the big screen would make me poop my pants or giggle with happiness. There's literally no in between there. It's one of the two. Number 7. Thor and Groot. Thank the gods of the universe that Jason Aaron exists. And thank them once again that he wrote Thors, the 2015 miniseries during Secret Wars that followed the exploits of God King Doom's personal security force, which is basically a whole bunch of different Thors. Among this Thor core are some really crazy awesome combo Thors, but what I think deserves a bit of attention on the big screen was a combination of Thor and the denizen of Planet X, Groot. While you don't really get to see Thor Groot in action a whole lot during the series, we do get a few panels of him being exactly what you'd expect. It's adult Groot with blue glowing parts that look similar to Ultimate Thor's armor and with a really awesome vegetation cape. Now in the MCU, Thor and Groot do have this weird indirect connection. Groot literally sacrifices his arm to give Thor his new weapon, Stormbreaker. I can't help but wonder what it'd be like if when Groot becomes an adult again, he wields that hammer or maybe like makes another similar kind of thing. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. In fact, there's a very, very large chance it never will happen, but what I am saying is that I would like to see it. That's all. Number 6. Iron Man and Thor. With all the times I have talked about Warp World, I have not had the chance to talk about my favorite warp from it. Stark Odin's son, the son of Howard Odin, the chieftain executive of the Aesir of Asgard, was an ambitious but arrogant god who dreamed of becoming an ironclad warrior. His arrogance drove his father to banish him from Asgard to learn some humility. He landed on Earth not knowing how he got there or who he actually was completely, but he had extended knowledge of the technology of his people. Using his intellect and incredible drive, Stark went from nothing to the 5th richest man in Europe in 5 years, building up a tech industrial company under the name Sigurd Stark. Now while in a drunken depression, he wandered into a strange forested glade, only to be attacked and taken prisoner by dark elves, who forced him to make weapons with Eitri the weaponsmith. Can you guess what happened next? The two created a super Iron Man armor infused with rune magic. and each revealed a warhammer made of cold iron that would supercharge the armor and restore Stark's strength. Forcing his broken body to move and lift the hammer, a bolt of lightning struck the workshop, and Sigurd Stark rose once again, clad in the rune-inscribed armor of the Iron Hammer. Now tell me you don't want to see that in a movie, and I'll tell you that you're a liar. Number 5. Doctor Strange in Loki? Donny Cates' Doctor Strange run eventually has the god of mischief, Loki, taking over as Earth's Sorcerer Supreme. And it both makes sense and is a complete perversion of reality all at the same time. Loki carries his iconic horned helmet, but now dons the Cloak of Levitation and hangs out in the Sanctum Sanctorum. It feels wrong, but it looks cool. It makes sense, but also just no. In all honesty though, it is a really cool shakeup that leads to a kind of incredibly awesome moment when Strange takes back the title and also re-imprisons the Void. In the MCU, Loki is dealing with a lot of tomfoolery and alternate versions, and I can't help but want this Sorcerer Supreme Loki to at least make an appearance. Number 4. Batman and the Joker. By this point, I would be incredibly surprised if you hadn't at least heard of the Batman Who Laughs. He is a demonic version of the Dark Knight that hails from a dark universe where Joker is killed, but not before he infects the body and soul of Bruce Wayne with Joker toxin. The result is a Batman-Joker combo deal who sports a long black leather jacket, a long tongue, a bloody face, plenty of spiked clothing, and a whole squad of undead Robins. With the popularity of the Dark Knight's death metal stories and the Batman Who Laughs himself, I'm sure he is bound to make some kind of big screen debut at some point in time, and I for one hope I will be alive for it. Number 3. Iron Man and Doom. After the events of Secret War, Victor Von Doom, who was God King of Battleworld, returned to the main Marvel Universe. But not as an evil Dr. Doom self. No, instead, he returned to eventually become the infamous Iron Man. He took on Iron Man's incredibly capable Model 51 Model Prime armor, and combined it with both his aesthetic and his awesome cape, and used it to do battle with some bad guys and change the public opinion on him. He was both incredibly cool and incredibly powerful, using a combination of Iron Man-like abilities and tech alongside his sorcery talents. Now that Robert Downey Jr. is no longer Iron Man, there is sort of like a vacuum to fill that spot. It would make such a crazy awesome story if Doom was to jump in that place, creating conflict with all those who love Tony, and while I would hate it if they introduced Dr. Doom like that, at least we would be getting him at all. But I'll hold out for the Fantastic Four movie for that one though. Number 2. Batman and Wolverine. If you know who Dark Claw from the Amalgam universe is, then you know exactly why this fusion is in the top 3. While most people wouldn't think about this combo before most others, once you see it, you can't really unsee it, and nor should you want to. This is a truly amazing combo. The furious fighting styles and tragic backstories of the two characters make a deadly blend. Between his healing factor, genius intellect, adamantium claws, and mastery of 127 fighting styles, this character is a literal nightmare for criminals. Now, if it were to come to a TV screen, which is highly unlikely right now, I'd be interested to see how they handle the whole dispatching criminals thing. Wolverine is very obviously okay with killing people, whereas Batman is pretty strict about the whole don't kill them but basically disable them so bad you might as well have just killed them thing, you know? So I don't know, man, I don't know. Number 1. Batman and Superman with a little special sauce in there. The Dark Knight, the Man of Steel. They are the two finest heroes the world has ever known, and together, their combined might stands in the face of the greatest threats the world has ever known in World's Finest. In the extremely recent 4th issue, when facing a Neza-possessed Green Lantern, the two heroes realize that being possessed, Green Lantern's willpower must be weakened. Not enough for either of the heroes to oppose, but definitely enough for both of the heroes. Together, they both focus hard enough on drawing the ring to them, and it somehow actually works. It flies towards them, but instead of landing on only one of them, the ring fuses the two heroes together into one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my entire life. This Super Batman with a little bit of Green Lantern is able to take on the Possessed, Firestorm, Red Tornado, Wonder Girl, John Johns, Kid Flash, and Black Canary all by himself, and even fight Neza to almost defeat him before the fusion wore off. The look of this fusion alone was enough to make this spot, but the capability of them, done. Hands down, the best. Number 1. Number 1. Number 10. Hot Rocks. Benjamin, along with his brother Reed, were scientists who took an experimental rocket to travel beyond the confines of Earth's gravitational field. When they encountered cosmic radiation, the two's genetic structure was altered drastically. For Benjamin's Storm, his skin became a rock-hard like hide. He gained super strength, durability, and stamina, and he no longer ages. But he also got infused with pyrogenesis, similar to some guy called the Human Torch from Earth 616. I don't know, I never heard of that guy before. Now, going by the name Hot Rocks, he looks like living brimstone and is so cool. Way cooler than his brother, who is basically the fusion of Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm. With Disney and Marvel's Fantastic Four movie coming up soon, the potential for this to happen is kind of on the rise, maybe a little bit. Number 9. Silver Racer. Marvel's Silver Surfer and DC's Black Racer were one of the many amalgamated DC and Marvel heroes in the awesome Amalgam universe, with the Surfer being the herald of the planet-eating Galactus and the Racer being the living embodiment of death. This combination is frighteningly powerful. Naturally, Amalgam combined these two into the Silver Racer. Silver here was once a man named Willie Lincoln, and becoming the Racer was the Asgardian avatar of death who gathered up fallen souls. Like the Black Racer, the Silver Racer could instantly travel through the cosmos, but unlike the Black Racer, Silver Racer did this with a conspicuous set of skis. Kinda like how Silver Surfer used a surfboard. Cosmic skis is just a hilarious concept, which gets kind of balanced as he also had the slightly more imposing ability to take lives with a single touch. Number 8. Onslaught. In the late 90s, a battle between Magneto and the X-Men had Magneto very violently rip all of the adamantium off of Wolverine's bones. Even that sentence alone just kinda makes me cringe in pain a little bit. Seeing his frenemy pull off this act of crazy violence, Professor X reached into Magneto's mind and just shut it down, straight up. Instead of that being the end of the story though, the psychic connection between these two powerful mutants caused the darkest impulses of both to merge and emerge as the villain Onslaught. Onslaught was basically Xavier and Magneto superglued together by pure evil. Every mind-based power you can think of from Xavier, along with astronomical magnetic manipulation from Magneto. Eventually, this crazy powerful villain went and absorbed two more powerful heroes, Nate Gray and Franklin Richards, giving him insane reality warping abilities. Onslaught was eventually defeated after a huge battle by the combined efforts of the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four, resulting in the death and rebirth of lots of those heroes. Number 7. Thorian. Thor, Marvel's Asgardian god of thunder, merged with Orion, the leader of DC's new gods, to form Thorion, or Thorian, the Hunter. In Thorian of the New Asgods, Thorian wielded the cosmic power of the Astro Force and his hammer to guard the uneasy peace between his home, New Asgard, and Thanoside's Apocalypse. With both Orion and Thor being incredibly powerful heroes, the potential of this fusion is utterly insane. When Loch Sad, Thorion's half-brother, used the reality-shattering Mother Cube to free the Promethean giants, the new Asgardians showed the full might of the Astro Force. So with a single strike from his awesome hammer, Thorian saved the universe, took out Calibac, Mangog, and Surtur, all of incredible power, and he evolved into the unimaginably powerful Celestial. Like most Amalgam characters, this is super unlikely to show up on a screen near me or you, especially because the new gods haven't even been mentioned in a live-action film yet, but it would be super cool. Number 6. Arachnite. I didn't know this was something I wanted until it was given to us. This hero is the combination of Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, and Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight, which is something I never thought would actually go together. In this world, Peter Parker survived a fatal attack by a creature known as the Goblin by Night, which is Green Goblin mixed with a werewolf by night. But sadly, Aunt May and Uncle Ben were not so lucky. Peter was saved by a mystical spider, becoming the avatar of the spider totem. Peter's mind shattered into 4 different personalities, just like Moon Knight's. Now, he owns his own company and works as a vigilante hero. This one is more doable. We have both characters in the MCU, so just do a what if or do a warp world. Just do it, guys. Please. Number 5. End of Time Doom. Earth 14412 is home to a Dr. Doom who is a sort of fusion between the Star Brand, Iron Fist, the Sorcerer Supreme, and a Ghost Rider. He is the Fist of Iron, the Starbrand Supreme, the Master of Mystic Vengeance. He is the End of Time Doom. In this reality, King Loki had destroyed all of humanity, with Doom being one of the few survivors. King Thor and his 3 daughters, the goddesses of thunder, restored life to the earth, and Doom showed up conveniently to conquer it. Naturally. He completely owned the 3 granddaughters of Old King Thor, and he was only stopped when Old King Thor, who wielded the Thor Force, was also empowered by the Phoenix Force. So far in the MCU, we have only 2 of the 5 beings who make up this version of Doom, not including Doom himself. So, it may be a long time before we see this character show up, but it would be very amazing. Number 4, Deadpool the Duck. What do you get when you combine Deadpool and Howard the Duck, combined by a teleportation device bitten by an alien with space rabies? Well, you get the limited series Deadpool the Duck. Now, we have seen many characters as Deadpool, but this is obviously the best combo of them all. That's gonna be divisive. Oh boy. Deadpool's body completely vanished while he gained full control of Howard's body. Howard was now wearing the red and black pool costume. But Howard's winning personality didn't completely vanish. Other than just being the duck body, his true self was floating in the negative zone. While he was able to interact with Deadpool as a floating head that only Deadpool could see, who he kept calling Spirit Animal, much to Howard's annoyance. The story was wild and wacky, with Dead Duck or Deadpool or Mr. Pool the Duck or Howard Pool vomiting every 5 minutes. We technically have seen both these characters, so imagine a Ryan Reynolds CG duck. That would be cool. Number 3, Ghost Panther. Ghost Panther from Marvel's Warp World is a combination of the Wakandan Prince T'Challa, aka Black Panther, and the demonic spirit of vengeance Ghost Rider. These 2 characters combining together is perfect to explore a new aspect of culture meeting mythology, which is the excuse we're gonna use to justify a hellfire skeleton that rides a giant fiery panther. Don't you dare look at me and tell me that is not amazing. Don't you dare. God, I love comic books. In this story, T'Challa was exiled from Wakanda for his arrogance and came to America, becoming a stunt rider named Johnny Blaze. Good choice, very original. I wonder where he got the inspiration, I don't know. After an accident leaves him fighting for his life, a demon offers him his life in exchange for becoming the all-powerful Ghost Panther. Now, if we can get Ghost Rider in the MCU, like properly in the MCU, then I think this will need to be explored, because fiery panther riding skeleton. It sounds cool. Number 2, Doctor STRANGEFATE. Doctor STRANGEFATE is the only Amalgam character from the DC/Marvel Amalgam universe who understood the mashed up nature of said universe. And he also survived its destruction, meaning he survived the alienation of the 2 companies, which is impressive to say the least. With the combined might of 2 magical masters of the mystic arts, Marvel's Doctor Strange and DC's Dr. Fate, combined with a little extra Marvel's Professor X special sauce, not like that, Amalgam's Charles Xavier towed the line between hero and villain to protect his universe. After saving Nabu, the Ancient One, Xavier was trained in the mystic and martial arts. In addition to being the world's supreme sorcerer, STRANGEFATE was also the world's most powerful telepath, putting him at a crazy level of power. And he was even able to sneak into Strange's consciousness and convince Strange to recreate Amalgam as a pocket dimension. We're getting Dr. Fate in Black Adam, and we have Doctor Strange, obviously. Now all we need is for DC and Marvel to chill the heck out, create the Amalgam universe, and we're good. And coming in at number 1, it's Iron Lantern. Marvel's Armored Avenger, Iron Man, and DC's Emerald Warrior, Green Lantern were combined to form Amalgam's Iron Lantern in 1997. While test flying an experimental super aircraft, inventor Hal Stark was tempted into investigating an alien crash site, which soon became his craft's crash site too. After being injured, Stark used the alien ship to create the Green Iron Lantern armor. While his quick thinking saved his life, it also gave the Iron Lantern a significantly awesome power boost. Constructs of green solid energy of huge size and complexity, plasma bolts, semi-sentient computers, flight, including flight at beyond the speed of light by using wormholes, time travel, unlimited telepathic powers, translation of virtually all languages, and force field generation, to list a few of the powers on his list. Not to mention being rich and charismatic. I think this is just a personal want for me to see it in the MCU or something. I don't know.
Number 10, Super Soldier. Clark Kent of the Amalgam Universe is a combination of Superman and Captain America and has a very similar origin story to good old Steven Rogers, as he was injected with the Super Soldier formula during World War II. However, there is a little fun twist thrown in there as he was also subjected to solar radiation. Now this fun mix of chemicals and light gave Clark all the powers of not only Captain America, but also Superman for some reason, so that means he can fly, is super strong and fast, has heat vision, and just, you know, a whole mess more. By March of 1942, Super Soldier had pretty much single-handedly won the war until Ultra Metallo, a giant robot sent by Lex Luthor, appeared on the scene. True to his Captain America half, he sacrificed himself to take down the giant robot, and the two were submerged in icy waters. And then 50 years later, Clark's body was discovered by the Judgment League Avengers, and after it was thawed out, he became their de facto leader. Now it wasn't too much long after that he discovered Lex Luthor was still alive and well, and he had partnered with Hydra and revived Metallo, but Clark was able to easily take them both down.
Number 9, Spider-Boy. Spider-Boy popped up in his own Amalgam one-shot, but also got a team-up issue as well following that. In his team-up issue, we saw him joined by the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099. That team is a huge combination of DC's Legion of Superheroes and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, in addition to their 2099 timeline. So, that was a pretty big team up. Spider-Boy himself is a combo of Spider-Man and Superboy. In the Amalgam universe, he was the attempted clone of Super Soldier created by Project Cadmus. But the cloning process went slightly wrong, and instead, the clone that would become Spider-Boy awoke prematurely, becoming conscious at a younger age than Cadmus had initially expected.
Number 8, Speed Demon. Now Blaze Allen, a combination of Barry Allen and Johnny Blaze, was once a stunt worker working at a carnival, and he became the Speed Demon following the death of his wife at the hands of the evil Night Spectre. He was convinced by Merlin to bond with the demon known as Etrigan, and from there the entity known as Speed Demon was born. Granted the abilities of Ghost Rider, including his fiery powers as well as his super strength, Speed Demon is not actually all that fast despite his name and lineage because, you know, he's also the Flash. While the character is a formidable fighter and an all-around powerful being, he falls very short in the speed department, especially compared to other speedsters. Now there have been other characters who have taken up this mantle, including both Jay Garrick and Wallace West. However, all their powers seem to be similar in origin, and they're all just as slow.
Number 7, Dr. Strangefate. Strangefate is the combination of both the big twos of mystical heroes, Dr. Fate from DC and Doctor Strange from Marvel, though weirdly enough his true name happens to be Charles Xavier. Strangefate was one of the few to survive the destruction of the Amalgam universe when threatened by a character known as Access. He hid himself deep within Doctor Strange's mind in order to live on, and after influencing Doctor Strange ended up back in the Amalgam universe, which Doctor Strange preserved and kept safe in a pocket dimension, mostly to contain the irksome Doctor Strangefate.
Number 6, NIGHTCREEPER. Born a metahuman, Kurt Ryder, a combination of Nightcrawler and Creeper, has a pretty vague past up until his time as an acrobat in the circus. He worked there for a while until he was kicked out for looking and smelling too freakish, and for a while he had nowhere to go. Fast forward a little bit, we see Kurt join the New Blood alongside a bunch of other amazing combinations of heroes and mutants, and eventually this team turned into the Justice League X-Men with Kurt as a founding member. Generally just used as comic relief, this character didn't really have many serious stories until he had to get real for a second with Angel Hawk, as both of them had fallen in love with a team member and it was causing some serious problems for everyone. Skip ahead once again to the Armageddon agenda and we see NIGHTCREEPER end up in jail alongside many other meta mutants, held there by none other than the JLA.
Number 5, Dare the Terminator. Dare is the combination of Daredevil and Deathstroke, but female. Also, not going to lie, I just kinda love the idea of a female Daredevil. I just think the design of Dare is so cool. She is blind, but she wears an eye patch as one of her eyes was shot out by Deadeye, who himself is a combination of DC's Deadshot and Marvel's Bullseye. So pretty villainous all around. Dare's real name is Slade Murdoch, and she first appeared in the Amalgam comic Assassins.
Number 4, Moonwing. Before becoming Moonwing, a combination of Moon Knight and Nightwing, Dick Grayson was an acrobat in a local circus until he was forced to leave due to his rather aggressive split personality known as Mark Spector. This scared a lot of people away from him, but not Bruce Wayne, a man who saw nothing but potential in the young boy who brought him in as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now known as Moonwing, Dick had an outlet for his aggressive side, and this actually helped him reconcile with this part of him, and he was able to live a rather normal life from there on out. While Dick went to college, his protege Jason Todd took up the mantle for a while. However, he was killed on a mission and Dick donned the costume once more because he felt really guilty about Jason's death. Now unknown to him, Jason's body was recovered by Hydra, who grafted cybernetic body parts onto Jason and brought him back to life as Deathlock. Deathlock then ambushed Moonwing while he was on a mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. and tried to kill his former mentor, who he blamed for his new robotic body. Moonwing was then forced to battle Deathlock, resulting in Jason's death for real this time, at his own hands.
Number 3, Bruce Wayne. Colonel Bruce Wayne, that is. And don't you forget it. Bruce Wayne is not actually Batman here. He's combined with another hero from the Marvel Universe who also prefers to go by his name alone. Yep, Nick Fury. Bruce Wayne of Amalgam is also dating another S.H.I.E.L.D. agent known as Black Bat, a combination of Felicia Hardy and Barbara Gordon, which, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like an amazing combination. Bruce Wayne first appeared in the Amalgam comic Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., where we learned that he is out for revenge. When he was young, his spy parents were killed by Green Skull of Hydra, and he used his money and influence to take over S.H.I.E.L.D. so that he can use the resources of the organization to get revenge.
Number 2, Darkclaw. Now speaking of Bruce Wayne, let's talk about Darkclaw, a combination of Batman and Wolverine named Logan Wayne. With a similar backstory to Batman, Wayne witnesses his parents' murder at a very young age and was then sent off to live with his uncle in Alberta. However, this also didn't last very long because his uncle was also murdered and Wayne was sent to live in a home run by nuns. When he was finally old enough, he left them and enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force alongside a man named Creed H. Quinn. And the two of them were then subjected to the Weapon X program, aka the Canadian Super Soldier program. It was there that the Wolverine half of this character came to be, as it was here he learned of his metamutant powers, and he had his bones fused with adamantium. Quinn, however, was not so lucky because through the course of the experiments he grew more and more insane and would eventually become the Hyena, a combination of Sabretooth and the Joker, and Darkclaw's greatest enemy. Equipped with all the powers of Wolverine and the vast knowledge of Batman, Darkclaw is just an awesome character.
Number 1, Amazon. Also known as Aurora of Themyscira. That's right, this character is an amazing mashup of Storm and Wonder Woman. Let's be honest, Storm is basically a Wonder Woman, so this all makes sense to me. She has the combined powers of both Marvel's Mutant Storm and some of the elements of DC's Wonder Woman, Princess Diana of Themyscira. After her parents both perished in a storm caused by Poseidon, which sunk their boat, young Aurora herself, who was also present, almost drowned, but instead was saved by the Amazons. They rescued her, and Queen Hippolyta adopted her and raised the young girl as her own, alongside her other daughter, Princess Diana. Aurora had metahuman abilities which allowed her to control the weather, and when they manifested, her Amazonian sisters also encouraged her to use them to forge a lasso of lightning, which also compelled those ensnared by it to tell the truth. Everyone deserves a lasso of lightning. So cool! Number 10, Hot Rocks. Hot Rocks comes to us from Marvel's amalgamated superhero world known as Warp World, from Infinity Warp. Infinity Wars? Infinity Wars, I think, or Infinity War. So many wars happen in Infinities. This is true in Marvel. This world was created by Gamora, who using the Infinity Stones folded the universe in half, merging the souls of its superpowered community. One of the awesome mashups we got from Warp World was Hot Rocks, a combination of Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, and Benjamin Grimm, aka the Fantastic Four's The Thing. Hot Rocks appears to have powers that paid tribute to his namesake. He was made of rocks, and he could get hot. Benjamin Storm, as he was known, was the brother of Reed Storm. Together, these two made up the superheroic duo known as the Terrific Two.
Number 9, Iron Lantern. From the Amalgam comic universe, Iron Lantern is of course a millionaire who is in charge of Stark Aircraft. While he was working on a flight simulator, it straight up took off and flew him somewhere. Quite the simulator that is, not too shabby. Stark crash landing on the ground, injuring Stark. He realizes he was brought to a crashed alien spaceship. The spaceship belonging to none other than Roman Sur, who died before getting a chance to talk to Hal Stark. Not being in the best condition after the rocky landing, Hal started working with newfound tech on a new suit. This Green Lantern upgrade of a suit saved his life for sure, but it also gave him the power to create anything out of this green energy. He used a battery that reminded him of a lantern to do so. He then went on to fight the aliens that had shot down Roman Sur and continued fighting enemies such as Madame Sapphire and Mandarin Estro.
Number 8, Deadeye. Deadeye is from the Amalgam Comics universe. Yeah, I'm not just going to abandon Amalgam, but I cannot deny that there are lots of mashup worlds out there that deserve to be explored in addition to Amalgam. Deadeye is a combination of Deadshot from DC and Bullseye from Marvel, both of which are known for being villains, and also known for being great shots. Deadeye is the one responsible for shooting out Dare the Terminator's eye, and was killed in the Amalgam universe by the assassin Cat's Eye, aka Elektra Kyle. Previous to this, he attempted to team up with fellow villainous assassins Lethal and Wired, working for the big boss known as Big Question, in an attempt to get revenge on their mutual enemies, of which Cat's Eye was one. Unfortunately, she got the jump on him before he could take her out.
Number 7. Aquamariner. Making his first appearance in the Amalgam universe, starting in Challengers of the Fantastic, Aquamariner, aka Arthur Mackenzie, is able to breathe in and out of water, of course, but he also has wings on his ankles that allow him to fly. Yeah, and you thought having Heelys was cool? Get out of here. Wings? You'd never be late, not once. And if that wasn't cool enough, he's also great at handling his grappling trident. From Marine Mystery number 1, we find Prince Namor as the lone survivor of the underwater city of Poseidonus. And after the loss of his wife and son, Arthur Mackenzie went to Surface World, where he would protect the oceans from further harm. And with the coral reefs disappearing more and more every minute, that would be a pretty good time for Arthur Mackenzie to pop out in our world, I would say.
Number 6. Diamond Patch. Diamond Patch is the amalgamation of Emma Frost and Wolverine, and as such comes to us from Marvel's Warp World. He boasts of strong diamond claws instead of adamantium coated ones, and often wears white like the mutant White Queen Emma Frost. He also sports an eye patch, his look seemingly also inspired by Wolverine's undercover identity during his time in Madripoor, Patch. No one would have ever guessed that it was secretly Wolverine. Looks just like him. Hence the code name Diamond Patch. Diamond Patch is also known for being a powerful telepath as well as for his business acumen.
Number 5. ARACHKNIGHT. You find some pretty awesome things in Warp Worlds. ARACHKNIGHT is among one of my favorites. And as you may have guessed by now, ARACHKNIGHT is the amalgamation of Spider-Man and Moon Knight. Pretty badass. Making his first appearance in Infinity Wars number 3, Peter was actually the successful owner and operator of Parker Industries, with his side gig being the vigilante ARACHKNIGHT. His best friend at the time being Harry Russell. You can probably see where I'm going here. Harry's father was none other than Norman Russell, aka the Goblin by Night, brought on by a curse that turns him into a bloodthirsty monster. Wow, sounds like quite the handful there. One night, Peter got a glimpse of this happening and followed Norman to Central Park, and you guessed it, he of course kicked his ass.
Number 4. Big Question. Big Question comes to us from the Amalgam universe. He's a combination of DC's Riddler, aka Edward Nygma, and Marvel's Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk. Hence his name, Edward Enigma Fisk. Big Question appeared as a villain in both the Assassins and the Dare the Terminator comics out of Amalgam. He was a corrupt politician whose office sat near the top of Arkham Tower in New Gotham City, just below Dr. Strangefate's residence. Big Question is the enemy of Dare the Terminator in the Amalgam universe and attempts to rule New Gotham City with an iron fist, though he is eventually taken down by Cat's Eye and the Gotham Bugle.
Number 3. Dr. Doomsday. From the Amalgam universe, Dr. Doomsday is rather terrifying. So Victor Von Doom would often experiment with cosmic ray shielding, right? He would set up camp on Earth in a safe base. Meanwhile, the future challengers of the Fantastic Four monitored the progress from a space shuttle. Now, of course, not being the coolest guy ever, Victor Von Doom deactivated the shielding on this ship and took off when it crash landed. So Doom was curious about Doomsday. A lot of Doom in this one, eh? One day during an examination, one of Doomsday's bone fragments shot out into Victor Von Doom's face. Oopsie daisies. So the DNA started to make its way in and gave us the lovely Dr. Doomsday, who is actually responsible for American Girl's death. I like the look of this guy a lot. He just looks like he's on skis, the green hood, spiked face, just looks like the definition of trouble.
Number 2. Moon Squirrel. Moon Squirrel also comes to us from Warp World. She is by far the cutest and coolest Warp World hero, in my humble opinion. Moon Squirrel is Lunine Laugh-A-Green. Like Moon Girl, she is recognized as being one of the smartest people on the planet with a genius level intellect, especially when it comes to tech and inventions. When young Lunine befriended a giant squirrel who had undergone pterogenesis, so I guess an inhuman squirrel, her life was changed forever. She adopted the mantle Moon Squirrel, taking inspiration from a name her classmates referred to her by, Moon Girl, and became a hero. She's a combination of Marvel heroes Moon Girl, aka Lunella Lafayette, and Squirrel Girl, aka Doreen Green.
And finally, number 1, Soldier Supreme. Okay, for this last one, I would pay a stupid amount of money to see this in a theater. Soldier Supreme makes his debut in, you guessed it, Warp World. So of course he has the combined powers of Captain America and Doctor Strange, which you probably guessed at this point, which already makes him one of the most badass dudes ever. Also appearing in Infinity Wars issue 3, weak and small Steven Rogers volunteered in a US military experiment to become a super soldier. Sounds familiar so far? Right on. The serum, however, was just a cover for mystic rituals. Spooky wookie. So he got some pretty amazing powers from it, leading the Howling Commandos of Hogarth alongside Dum Dum Fury and Bucky Wong.